Here's Brody Brazil.
So right now we're witnessing the first full school year and respective sports seasons following the demise of the Pac-12. It basically dissolved right now down to just 2 schools. Eventually they're going to expand it by a handful more, but this is more about the teams that left the Pac-12 and have joined the Big Ten, the Big 12, and the ACC. All West Coast schools, and what they're finding out now is once we're past the football season, we get into more of the travel-heavy sports like basketball and eventually baseball and softball. These schools and teams and players are finding out that it may not be fair anymore, the amount of traveling they have to do and the disadvantage it puts them at versus what it used to be like and versus all the other East Coast schools in these different conferences. I want to help tell the story by way of UCLA men's basketball coach Mick Cronin. Now, I don't know much about Mick. I've known the name, known the face. I just don't know him personally. I can admire the suits. I can admire the charisma. Seems like he's a really good interviewee and a good speaker. He's 53 years old. He's been a college basketball coach, like at the assistant level, since 96. He's been UCLA's head coach since 2019, and they've had a lot of success down there in Southern California. UCLA, though, this season, 12-6 overall, but 3-4 in their first go-around in the Big Ten Conference. And they just came back from a series of quick road trips out east and back, then out to the Midwest and back, then out east and back, and they still have some more trips cross-country. Mick was asked in a press conference the other day about his team's travel. He popped off, and I'll respond to this, but first, you got to see what he said.
So much has been made about you guys going east. You just came back from a prolonged East Coast trip. I'm wondering, have you seen anything from the teams that have to come out here and stay out here? Is there any kind of balance with that in terms of the wear and tear and just what you've seen on the court?
Wear and tear on them?
Yeah.
Is that a joke? Please tell me that's a joke.
Is it even comparable, is essentially what I'm trying to say.
Have you ever looked at the NBA stats and what the gamblers and all those people do on West versus East? Talk to Eric Musselman, ask him that question, who coached in the NBA. Good luck, West going east. Okay, and ask me UCLA's record east of the Mississippi in the last 20 years. Because when I got the job, I looked it up for scheduling purposes. It's under 500, okay? We have to go back 4 times. Oh, the Big Ten teams get to come to Los Angeles where it's 70 degrees 1 time a year. They don't even have to switch hotels. We're 12 miles apart. Are you kidding me? Please tell me you're kidding me. Is this a plant? Is this a planted question? I mean, you cannot be serious with that. And meanwhile, we've seen the Eiffel Tower, or we've seen the Statue of Liberty twice.
Eiffel Tower?
In the last 3 weeks, while we were landing. We also saw downtown. We also saw the Capitol building. I mean, are you kidding me? I mean, you can't possibly. And we still got to go back. And then we got to go back for the Big Ten tournament. You can't possibly be serious.
Well, that's the thing. You have 4 more trips of those to make.
Yeah.
So
they do it 1 time. You can't possibly stop. I'm going to eat, man. You can't. I mean, he's asked me to feel sorry because Iowa had to come to LA for a few days.
I mean, I think the question was genuine there. He just took the opportunity to make a point out of the topic and out of the situation. So he took advantage of that, and maybe it was a plant. No, I really don't think it was. I don't think he knew that was coming. But like I said, he kind of had that idea in his head. This wasn't just formulated right here, right then, right now. He knew if he was ever asked about this, exactly what he was going to say. And I commend him, and we'll talk more about speaking out on this, because it's hard, right? If you're a college athlete or coach or administrator, what do you say about your school changing conferences and how jumbled it is geographically? More on that in just a second. Here's the men's basketball schedule for UCLA, and you can see that it's home heavy for most of November, a lot of Poly Pavilion games, a couple quick trips to Oregon and Arizona, but then out to New York. You see December 21st, right before Christmas, out to New York, then back home for Gonzaga and Los Angeles, then back out to Nebraska, then back home for Michigan, then back out to Maryland, and Rutgers and Piscataway, New Jersey, then back home, and then eventually Seattle. And then they make 2 different trips to the Midwest, Illinois and Indiana, later on in mid-February and at the end of the month of February. So it is all over the place, and the conference and the realignment is part of this situation. Here's a look at the former Pac-12. Arizona, Arizona State, Colorado, and Utah went to the Big 12. Cal and Stanford both went to the ACC. What does ACC stand for again? Oh, Atlantic Coast Conference. You know, because the Golden Bears and Cardinal are right next to the Pacific Ocean, but it's fine. You could be in the Atlantic Coast Conference. And in the Big Ten, Oregon, USC, UCLA, and Washington, that's where they have migrated to. So all these teams, all these schools, and we'll get to the other part of it. Like, doing this for football is one thing, because football, you have a couple road trips a year, and that's it. And you were going to travel for those weeks anyway. But for a basketball season, the back and forth and the amount of trips, it's double and sometimes triple what a football team would have to go through. But again, geographically here, you can see that all these schools just totally split up and went different directions here. So let's get to my takeaways. And number one, like, the realities of geography and logistics, I feel like they're finally sinking in for these former Pac-12 schools. Because when this was discussed, right, last summer, even earlier than that, well, when we get to that point, we'll figure it out. It won't be that much of a problem. And now we're here. And a coach is literally saying, now he's talking about it, Mr. Cronin's talking about it in a sense of disadvantage to his team. But how about just the lifestyle and the wear and tear on the student athletes' bodies? Do we still call them student athletes, or are they NIL deal paid athletes now? Is that how we're treating them, as professionals who are not professionals yet? But the geography and the logistics, I think, are finally setting in, like, oh my gosh, what did we sign up for here? Or this is different than we thought, or this is a lot more intense than we thought. This was a football decision. Make no mistake about it. These schools leaving the different conferences and getting away from geography, this was all about the ramifications of football television deals. That's what this is about. And again, it doesn't necessarily impact the football team and players as much as it does the other sports. And I'm just naming some of the major sports. Think about some of the smaller sports and even something like swimming. Whatever the sport may be, it still requires traveling to other schools in your conference. And a lot more trips, potentially. Like, look at the basketball schedule. Football schedules don't even look like that. It impacts these other sports a lot more, even though this decision was made mostly about the football teams. And like I said before, it is good to see somebody speak freely about this. You would understand that the constraints might be there. You don't want to get yourself in trouble, your school in trouble, your boss in trouble, your players in trouble. It's good to see Mick Cronin speaking out about this and just saying, hey, this is hard. This is not easy. And all those other teams out there who are in their conference based on geography already, and we join them, they have a tremendous advantage coming out to see us once versus the 4 times we have to travel across the country to go see them. So, how's this going to end? Well, it's not. It's not going to change. College sports, NCAA, it's just different now. And it might change again in the next 5 to 10 years. There may be another version and variety of what we're seeing here, and maybe it becomes more like a professional situation. Athletes are not students as much anymore. I mean, they are, but they're more semi-professional athletes. I don't know where this is going, but I do know that right here, right now, it's not going to change. The schools have made these commitments. They've done so for financial reasons. They're going to make a lot of money off it. They don't want to hear this. Like, they don't want to hear somebody from a school saying that this isn't fun, this isn't fair. They don't care. They'll find somebody else to do it. It literally is like that, unfortunately. So I don't want to say we could all see this coming and you had an idea that this might be a problem eventually, but come on, you could all see this coming and know that this would be a problem and know that all these West Coast schools doing all this travel across all these seasons. Once you get past football and you realize, whoa, this is really a tough situation and it's difficult and it goes against a lot of things. Again, success on the court, the field, that's one thing, but how about just the human element of these young men and women who are college athletes? So is it fair anymore? Are college sports fair with teams doing the travel on the West Coast out east? If you're out west, no, you are at a significant disadvantage. Let me know what you think about all this in the comments section below. Also, while you're down there, thumbs up on this video to greatly help me, this video, and this channel. And one more request, if you would, make sure that you are subscribing to this channel down below right now, because that way, if you are, I'll get to see you back here next time.